Trump destroying Kamala as new Wall Street Journal poll says Trump wins. From the Daily Caller new Wall Street Journal poll, Trump takes lead nationally. And from The Hill, CNN polling guru says battleground state sweep more likely than not. Well, that's good news if you like Trump, and it's bad news if you love Kamala. In the United States, what really matters is who wins the Electoral College. That's who wins the election. And our system is set up that way because you want every state to be able to have a say in who wins the election. If it's just a total population vote or a national vote, then individual states don't have a right to have their say. But Trump isn't just doing well in the Electoral College. He's doing well nationally. Now he's leading. He doesn't even need that to win the race. Former President Donald Trump has taken a narrow lead over Vice President Kamala Harris with less than 2 weeks until Election Day, according to a Wall Street Journal poll published Thursday. Trump has pulled out in front with a 47-45 lead. Look at those numbers, 47, like the 47th president, or the 45th president. Trump will probably have been both of those. And that's a change from the Journal's polling in August, which had Kamala ahead by 2 percentage points. The 2 percentage points are within the poll's margin of error. And that 2-point shift is really a 4-point shift. And that's not really something Kamala is going to be able to reverse. Because Trump focuses on building momentum. He plans things way in ahead. And all of the momentum is with Trump. Harris's favorability and job performance numbers have dropped since August, while Trump's job performance numbers have risen. In August, half of voters viewed her favorably. Now, as of late October, 45% view her favorably compared to 53% who view her unfavorably, according to the poll. Harris is also seeing her worst job performance ratings as vice president since Wall Street Journal started asking voters about her performance. 54% of voters disapprove of her performance compared to 42% who do approve. Massive advertising spending and the performance of the candidates have contributed to the shift, according to the Wall Street Journal. Well, voters are finally getting to know her, Republican pollster David Lee said, who ran the poll with Democrat Michael Bosian. Quote, the definitional period is coming to an end, and more people are unhappy with what they've learned about her than what they know about President Trump. Issues that voters appear to trust Trump over Harris on include the economy and immigration. The economy is obvious, and the inflation is completely unacceptable. Whatever cash you had, it's worth a lot less now because of the inflation. And the immigration issue is a little bit difficult to argue about. I'm not sure how anyone could be comfortable with Kamala on immigration. We have hotels in New York City that are loaded with illegal immigrants. We have people literally lining the streets, sleeping outside. And we have other small towns that have had 50% of their population increased with illegal aliens, illegal migrants, whatever you want to call them. How could anyone be satisfied with that? Voters approve of Trump over Harris on the economy by 12 points compared to 8 in August, according to the poll. On immigration, they trust him by 15 points, a leap from the 7-point lead he had over Harris in August. All Trump is saying is that he wants to give you the America that you said you wanted. Whether it's the economy or it's inflation, or not having to worry about World War III, or immigration, just a normal, safe America. That's all Trump is saying he wants to give people. And his opponent, Kamala, does not seem to want to offer that to people, even to lie to people to say, hey, it's going to be better than that. Don't worry about it. She's not doing that. And then we see articles from the Washington Post telling people, stop trying to buy a house. Maybe you should think about buying a townhouse or a condominium. Instead, don't think about the American dream. We're going to downsize the American dream so you lower your standards. Well, lowering our standards is really not something people in America want to do. If you're forced to do it, people will do it. If you're not forced to do it, of course you're not going to do it. The Wall Street Journal's poll results match other recent polls. While Real Clear Politics' national polling average still has Harris ahead by a hair, 0.2%, the 4 most recent polls all have Trump ahead by at least 2 percentage points. CNBC and Forbes Harris X, which polled likely voters as opposed to the registered voters that CNBC and Wall Street Journal polled, both have Trump ahead by 2 percentage points nationally. Rasmussen's Wednesday poll had Trump up by 3%. While RCP's average has Trump slightly behind nationally, he's ahead in every key battleground. Overall in the swing states, he's up 0.9%. In Georgia, he's ahead by 2.2 points. In Wisconsin and Michigan, he's edging Harris by 0.2%. Trump is also dominating in the betting markets. He had a 59% chance of winning versus Harris's 40.1% chance, according to the RCP betting average. Polymarket, the world's largest prediction market, has Trump's odds at 61.1%. And that goes up, it goes down. And those betting markets are not legal if you're a U.S. resident. You're not allowed to bet in the betting markets about who's going to win the election. Right now, Polymarket, and you can check them out at polymarket.com, has Trump at a 62.7% chance versus Kamala Harris's 37.4% chance. And coming from the Hill, CNN's polling guru says battleground states sweep more likely than not. This guy Harry Enton on CNN seems to play it pretty straight. He gives you the numbers and he explains the numbers and does his research. CNN polling guru Harry Enton said he believes a sweep of the main battleground states in the presidential election is more likely than not, even as polls show all 7 of the big swing states almost even between Vice President Harris and former President Trump. Enton, CNN's political data reporter, said in a segment on the network Thursday that his electoral model gives a 60% chance that the winner of the election receives at least 300 electoral votes. Quote, so for all the talk that we've had about this election being historically close, which it is, chances are the winner will still actually score a relative blowout in the Electoral College. Polls have consistently placed the rank as neck and neck, with neither candidate leading in any of the 7 swing states in the Hill Decision Desk HQ polling average by more than 2 points. If Harris and Trump split those states, with the winning candidate taking 3 or 4, they would likely only get just above the 270 electoral votes needed to clinch victory. But if they were to win most or all the states, they would get above the 300 votes, a more comfortable margin. Enton said the average polling error since 1972 in the key swing states has been 3.4 percentage points. And if the polls are off by that much this year, one candidate could sweep all 7. He noted that past elections have shown one candidate outperforming expectations in most states, suggesting the states are likely to widely vote more Democratic or Republican across the board. Quote, so this time around, don't be surprised if the swing state polls, when they underestimate one candidate, they underestimate all of them in the states. And that would lead to a relative electoral college blowout, with one of the candidates winning at least 300 electoral votes. Presidential elections have generally been very close in recent years, so the race is still likely to be close even if one candidate carries most of the swing states. In 2020, for example, Biden won 6 of the 7 battlegrounds that are considered likely to decide the election this year, but he carried some of them by only a few tens of thousands of votes, putting him over the top. There's been a tremendous amount of dispute about whether or not Biden actually won that election. That's years ago now. We don't know if that'll ever be further investigated. Hopefully, if Trump becomes president, he will ask for an investigation of all the evidence that was collected related to 2020. So why is Kamala in so much trouble? Here's what Frank Luntz has to say. From the Daily Caller, Frank Luntz says Harris's CNN town hall answer illustrates exactly why she's in trouble. Pollster Frank Luntz said Thursday that one of Vice President Kamala Harris's responses during her Wednesday CNN town hall perfectly exemplifies why her campaign is struggling. When asked by CNN anchor Anderson Cooper whether she supports building a border wall, Harris quickly shifted to attacking former President Donald Trump instead of giving a direct answer. Luntz on Squawk Box on CNBC criticized Harris's pivot to Trump, arguing she should have stated her support for wall funding if elected in November. Keep in mind, politicians often don't tell the truth, or they say they're going to do something that they know they can't really practically do. Kamala Harris could just lie about this. She could just say, of course we're going to build a border wall. I've seen what's been happening. Now, they're actually flying people into the country, sponsored by the U.S. government, whether it's as illegal immigrants or whether it's as being under temporary protected status. They're literally flying in people into the country. They don't even have to go over the border wall. They don't even have to physically cross the border. They're crossing the border on airplanes. She could just lie about this, but for some reason, she's not comfortable even saying what she needs to say or being a politician and saying something maybe unequivocal or non-specific. So for the people that even want to trust her on this, they can't trust her because she won't even lie to them, at least not about this subject. Quote, I think that clip illustrates exactly why Harris is in trouble at this point, and it's something that I don't understand why the campaign does not address. They asked her specifically, where do you stand on the wall? And what does she do? She goes and she shifts right to Donald Trump, immediately mentions him twice within the first 5 seconds, Luntz said. She still hasn't closed the deal. She hasn't said to people exactly what she would do. In fact, what she should have done in the opening of that town hall is said, quote, I want to tell you what I'm going to do in the first hour, in the first day, and in the first week, and it's going to take me 5 minutes. So Anderson, you're going to have to sit tight. Here's what we're going to do by 1 p.m. She didn't do any of that, he added. She hasn't told the public step by step what she's about. CNBC's host Andrew Ross Sorkin pressed Luntz about how Harris should have responded to Cooper's question. Quote, she's supposed to say, within the first 24 hours, I'm going to introduce legislation that supports the wall and supports the DREAM Act for progressives who want people who came in through no fault of their own, those would have been people who came in as children, and improves illegal immigration so more people can come here the right way. It's such an easy compromise, and she doesn't say it, the pollster said. Harris previously referred to the border wall as stupid and Trump's medieval vanity project, which Cooper brought up during his question to Harris. However, she now supports the bipartisan border bill proposed in February, which would spend hundreds of millions of unspent public dollars on further construction of a border wall. And of course, that bipartisan bill is not a legitimate bipartisan bill. That was Republican establishment plus the Democrats trying to give the Democrats a talking point so they could claim, oh, they tried to do something on immigration, but they didn't. That bill came out of the Senate, which meant even if it was signed off in the Senate, it would have had to have been approved by Congress. Congress is Republican. They're not going to approve a bill like that. Among other things, that bill had clauses in it that said, okay, any immigration dispute would be handled in the future by Washington, D.C. courts. That would mean Texas, Arizona, any other state that had any immigration-related issue, any violation of any immigration law that had to do with the federal government, would all be resolved in very blue, very liberal, very establishment Washington, D.C. That alone made it a non-starter, aside from all the other flaws with that ridiculous bill. That is what you call a messaging bill. It was never intended to pass. It was intended to give people who want completely open immigration into the country with no standards, no limitations, a talking point to defend themselves when they were called out for what they actually were, which were completely open border advocates. Harris has changed her messaging from promoting joyfulness to attempting to portray Trump as a danger to the United States as her campaign comes to a close. Luntz said Tuesday that Harris will fail to secure an election victory if she's just beating up on Donald Trump. Trump now holds slim leads over the vice president in all 7 of the top battleground states, according to the Real Clear polling averages. Different polls say different things. We remember the polls were off in 2016. The polls were off in 2020. The polls are probably off again. But getting this movement, watching this obvious energy and this momentum for Trump over Harris lets you know it doesn't really matter what this news story comes out with or that news story comes out with. If Trump maintains momentum, he will continue to grow and gain additional support as her support continues to disappear. Of course, anyone who watched the election of 2020 is concerned about, well, what's going to happen with all the mail-in ballots and the overseas ballots? We don't know the answer to all that. But what Trump says about all that, and he's the one putting his entire life on the line numerous times trying to win the election, is get out and vote and make it too big to rig. And that's absolutely what we should all do. Let me know what you think of all this in the comments below. Always love to see your ideas. Please be sure you are subscribed to the channel. Click the bell for notifications. Give me a thumbs up, and I'll see you again soon with another story. And if I don't see you, I will miss you.